Everyone knows about the headliners at Coachella, but as a state-of-the-art festival, it really is a convergence of arts and culture and touches on so many things, food and interactive exhibits out on the field. But also, you'll discover a record store out there. Joining us to talk about vinyl today and records at Coachella, Alex Rodriguez.
How's it going?
And Vincent Vittorio. Hello. So I had the pleasure of checking out this record store. It is amazing. Tell us how this all came together, Alex.
I ran the Glasshouse record store, which is kind of part of the family of Coachella Golden Voice.
Yeah.
And I was asked to do it one year, and I put it together, and they loved it. And now here we are, like 5 Coachellas later, still doing it.
What you realize as soon as you walk in is it's just been expertly curated. It's not just random stuff that, I mean, every piece seems like it was put in place.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I try to do. Like, I try to have a understanding that everybody has different music tastes, and everybody has a soft spot for maybe something they listened to 20 years ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just try to get as many great records as possible for everyone.
Well, for a lot of people, I'm sure it's just a walk down memory lane, you know, because every single record opens up like a postcard from the past.
Yeah,
and you
totally.
have some here, I'm sure, that are meaningful to you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first one I have right here is Love Forever Changes. And this is actually my second favorite album of all time. I would have brought my first, which is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, but they sold out at the record store. Like every copy I brought sold.
Of course.
So, but yeah, this record was put out in 1967, and just like unlike any record at the time, and still today, no record sounds quite like this record.
That's awesome.
And the lyrical content is probably some of my favorite lyrics of all time.
That's awesome. And then tell us about the one in the middle.
The one in the middle, this is the Open Mind, and this is a really extremely rare UK psychedelic rock record from 1969. And the reason why I brought this one is they're actually reissuing it for Record Store Day.
Wow.
Next weekend, which is next Saturday, April 21st. And so this is like super duper rare. And so I thought it would be neat to get one for Coachella.
Yeah.
And have it out there so you could see a real one versus, you know, the reissue, because hardly anyone sees the real one.
That is the real one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's been so great in recent years is the resurgence in vinyl as a format, which I'm sure you're loving.
Yeah.
But Vincent, over to you on making a documentary about this. What was your approach to the film?
So I met Alex in a hotel upstate New York. He walks in with the bell bottoms, the look, and I'm like, start making conversation with him. Like, who is this guy? And we both find out we're from LA and start chatting. And he tells me he collects records for a living. And I'm just like, you know, right away, I'm like, oh man, as a documentary filmmaker, you know, I'm intrigued. And then I learned that not only does he collect records, but he hand curates the collection for the Coachella Music Festival and a lot of these others. And so, you know, right when I heard that and kind of his passion and understanding for selecting the records, not just based on the artist, but also the condition and the way that like you get things in different parts of the country that you can't get in others, I was hooked, and it really felt like a documentary that was worth telling based on what you shared earlier about the resurgence of vinyl.
And so you traveled the States, you went to obscure towns. Did you hear about great record collections?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get tipped off to great record collections. Sometimes it's not about trying to get into a basement. Sometimes it's just I go to stores and just look for cool records, you know? So it's not necessarily like a digging process. It's more of a curating process where I'm just looking all over the U.S. for the like coolest records I can find.
That's wild. Well, if we have a clip of the doc, so why don't you set that up for us?
Yeah, so, you know, in addition to, you know, him selecting records across the country, we met with a lot of different either artists or collectors themselves, and one of them is Lenny Kaye, who's an artist and collector, and Alex and him, you know, shared their love for vinyl in addition to just talking about music in general.
I'm a big Patti Smith fan, so you being in Patti Smith's group, you know, is pretty cool, but sometimes I think like, when I think of the name Lenny Kaye, the first thing I think of is Nuggets.
Oh, you mean this crazy, wacky record?
Yeah.
It's a nugget if you dug it.
Yeah, which you put out in '72, right?
Yeah.
Me, like, being the record nerd, I think he put out the Nuggets comp. You know, he compiled that. Nuggets had so much influence on my life, and knowing that there's more than what's on the surface.
It was really revelatory. And, you know, I'm just glad I had a chance to wave the flag for these bands, wave the flag for this moment of time, and kind of have lots of beers bought for me around the world. I always loved records, listening to the radio, finding them, going to record stores. In the beginning of the 70s, I got to work in a record store. I worked at Village Oldies on Bleecker Street, 6 days a week, $10 a day, and got to live in the world that I had created for myself.
The film is Record Safari. The director, Vincent Ventorio, is here. Alex Rodriguez, who curates the collection as he's followed around the country. And for those at home who are watching and maybe attending Coachella next weekend, you mentioned Record Store Day, which is a nationwide celebration of records in the vinyl format. So what a great opportunity for those coming to the festival next weekend to come say hello and check out the record store, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, the people that come to Coachella also have the ability to get those limited Record Store Day releases, because a lot of times they sell out in a day.
Yeah.
And if you're here and not at a record store, you can't get them. So we made that possible.
Well, can I tell you, when I was at your shop earlier, I found the first record that I ever bought as a kid. Can I tell you?
Yeah. What was it?
Def Leppard, Pyromania.
Oh, nice. You know, I also have kind of a connection to that record because my cousin at the time in the 80s was like one of their publicists. So like she would always like show me cool like backstage passes of Def Leppard concerts and stuff like that. So I kind of have a connection to Def Leppard as well.
Well,
you know?
I loved seeing it. It was special to me, and it just resonated the fact and the importance of vinyl in our lives. So thank you guys for doing what you do and joining us backstage at Coachella.
Yeah.